Hi, I'm Matt Parrett, a Chartered Tax Advisor from Tax Shop Accountants in Wellington, www.taxshop.net. I haven't been on the videos for some time now. However, now is probably a very appropriate time to do a video. We're all in lockdown because of the Covid-19 virus, and many of my clients are struggling and wondering what they can do, what can they get to help themselves with their financial woes. There are a number of measures that the government have introduced. I'm just going to briefly run through some of the main measures that have been announced. So firstly, there's what's called the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme. You may have heard this word furlough. I've never heard of it previously. Now everybody's talking about furloughing people. So basically it's intended to help employers maintain their staff. So if you've got a payroll of people but you've got no work, then rather than laying off staff and getting redundancy costs and all that and losing your member of staff, you can now ask them whether they want to be furloughed. So you need to put it in writing to them. You need to check your contract of employment, but generally you'll need to write to them with a letter saying, do you agree to be furloughed? Most people will pay them 80% of the money, of their wages, their average wages, and then the government will reimburse the business that 80% at some point in the future. I'm thinking that's going to be middle of April, end of April probably. So you put them on the payroll in the normal way, you pay them the 80% of the gross pay, you take tax and national insurance off, and pay them the net pay if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, some commentators are saying pay them when you can afford it, but still do this furloughing. So that could still be the way forward for you. So you have to write to the furloughing, you have to write to the employee or email the employee. Once you've got their permission, that's all you need to do at the moment. Okay, so then you put them on the payroll at the 80% pay. There will be a website coming out in due course from the government where you reclaim your money. You may well need a copy of your letter as proof of when you furloughed the member of staff. So don't forget to do the paperwork, otherwise the government may well say, we're not going to pay you. So keep the paperwork. So that's the main part of the job retention scheme. That's the furloughing. Now this can also apply if you're a one-man band, a one-man limited company. We'd all hoped that the one-man limited company would be helped under the self-employed scheme that was introduced recently, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but it wasn't. So if you are a one-man or a husband and wife limited company, then you still can furlough yourself and your spouse, providing, as with the main scheme, there is no work for you. So, that really is the main part of the whole deal. You can't work when you're furloughed, but you can furlough yourself as a company director. You furlough yourself and your wife, keep on paying yourself whatever you were paying previously, and you should get 80% of the money back in due course. So it's better than nothing. It's not great, but it is better than nothing. The next measure announced is the deferral of VAT payments. So the government will let you defer the VAT quarter between March and June, and you'll end up paying that in March 2021. So in about a year's time, you'll end up paying that money. You still have to file the VAT return, but you must cancel the direct debit, otherwise you will have lost the VAT money. So just remember to cancel the direct debit. Now, recently announced 2 or 3 days ago the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme. This is what it sounds like. It is a scheme for the self-employed, sole traders, partners who will get money paid to them on or after the 1st of June, so we're told. The scheme will again support a maximum of up to £2,500 per month, and I should have said that earlier. On the furloughing, the maximum again is £2,500 per member of staff. So going back to the self-employed scheme, that is again the maximum that a self-employed person can get, £2,500 per month, but there's a very complicated formula to work that out. I believe they're going to be using what's known as the SA 302, which is the document on the back of your self-assessment form that your accountants will normally give you. It's the taxable profit after capital allowances. Now, anyway, the scheme will be available. There's 2 tests to make to qualify for it. The first one, you base it on your 18-19 income. If your 18-19 self-employed profit is less than £50,000 and more than 1/2 of your total income, you can get up to £2,500. So there's a calculation to do, but you do the calculation, work out your self-employment, make sure it's more than 1/2 of your total income, and then 80%, and make it into a monthly figure. And if that fails, for example, then you can do an average of 16-17, 17-18, and 18-19. Average those 3 years. Do the same calculation, less than £50,000 plus sole trader or partnership income, more than 1/2 of your total income. So, for example, if you've got a job and a sole trader, if your PAYE job rather, pays more than the sole tradership, you're not going to get a penny. And I've got lots of clients who have a small sole trader business, a very small PAYE business, a PAYE job, and generally speaking, they may not get paid. But nevertheless, I've got plenty of clients who will benefit very much from this. So if they get 3 months at £2,500, for example, that's £7,500 on or after the 1st of June, which will be very useful. It's a taxable grant. You don't have to repay this money, but it's certainly be a very welcome package for people. But I believe it's going to be based on the taxable profit after all expenses and after capital allowances. I believe that's the only way they'll better do it. I could be proven wrong, but I don't think so in this instance. That's the self-employed, so that applies to sole traders and partnerships. Okay. Then the next main relief is the £10,000 small business grant. You will only get that if you pay business rates, the non-domestic rates, I think they call it. But effectively, if you get a business rates bill and you either get full small business relief or partial small business relief, you should get a £10,000 grant, which you don't have to pay back. So that will be very welcome for many, many businesses, people in offices, shops, etc. I've got lots of clients saying, "Oh, but I'm in business," but you have to have a business rates bill to get the money back. You can't just say I'm in business. You won't get the money back. What's happening now is that the local authorities are issuing letters based on these business rates bills to people saying you now need to email this address, provide bits of information that they're asking for, your reference on your rates bill, etc., etc. When you get that letter, very important to email straight away and fill in and provide them the information by email that they are asking for in that letter that you will be receiving any day now. You may well, some authorities have already issued these letters. I've seen a few. They are coming through the door as we speak. For businesses in the retail, hospitality and leisure sector, with a rateable value on their business rates bill between £15,000 and £51,000 up to £25,000 grant, which will be very, very welcome for pubs and clubs, leisure gyms, businesses like that, where they will get more than £10,000 because their business will have been partially destroyed by the coronavirus. So that will be very welcome. Again, that is based on the non-domestic rates bill. Those are the main ones. There are loan schemes available. They're called, if you want to search on Google, it's the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme. I've seen a few of the applications. They're complicated. They ask all kinds of questions. You'll need your accountant's input to get this right. And one assumes that they'll ask you what you need the funding for. Don't put down things like VAT, because obviously the VAT, you can defer that anyway. So they're not going to loan you money for the VAT. They're not going to loan you money for business rates if they've been suspended, because you're in the retail, hospitality and leisure business, because you're going to get a business rate suspension on that. So don't put down things that are silly and that you won't have to pay. For example, wages. It would be daft putting down wages because you're going to get the money back. So don't apply for £100,000 because your payroll bill was £100,000. If you furloughed staff, you're going to get that money back. So don't put that down on your application. You're just going to get the money back for overheads of the business where there are no government schemes to help you out. And that's about all. My website, taxshop.net, if you click or you go to the homepage, there is a blog I have on that. Register for updates. I'm updating it regularly. Most of my clients have registered. Otherwise, I've got to email about 1,000 people the same answer. Most of it is about the furloughing and the self-employed scheme and the £10,000 grant, which everybody's desperate to claim, but most things aren't ready yet. The government is not quite ready yet, but they're doing their best. There's some decent reliefs that the government are providing, and I don't think we can really complain that much. So stay safe, everybody. Signing off.